Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Janana Bulbul, and I'll be your moderator on today's session. First of all, I'd like to sincerely thank you for being here. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to this important discussion: why is physical security, cybersecurity in 2025? Over the past few years, the line between physical and cybersecurity has become increasingly blurred, and 2025 only reinforces this shift. With connected systems, smart buildings, the IoT, and the growing digitalization of physical infrastructure, we're entering a new era that demands an integrated approach to security. Today, we no longer speak of separate domains, but of unified security ecosystem where vulnerabilities in physical systems can have direct consequences in a digital realm, and vice versa. That's exactly why we are here today to explore how these two worlds are merging and what that means for the future of safety and resilience across industries. Now, I'm honored to be joined by industry expert Philip Schellenberg, sales engineer at Genetec. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Janana. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. As always, I have a quick reminder. You can participate in the discussion by sharing your comments or questions on the right side of your screen. Like always, we encourage you to engage and make the most of this interactive session. Philip, the stage is yours. We can start.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be here and to present some of our approaches to cybersecurity or security in of security, as we call it. Um, maybe I just should start with me as a person. I started in Genetec on a position of sales engineer for Central and East Europe 2 years ago, but 15. I'm working in this field for more than 17 years, and most of the time with genetic products. So I have I have some experience with with it.
Great. Philip,
Yeah.
before we start your presentation, I have a question. In today's increasingly interconnected world and the line between physical and cybersecurity is becoming more and more blurred, why is it critical to address the convergence of these two domains now more than ever? And what practical steps can organizations take to ensure that their existing physical security products are also protected against cyber threats?
I believe I will
You
answer
can
the last.
answer on this question throughout your presentation.
I will start with one short comment. When I
Okay.
started 17 years ago with in security business and focused on VMS, my biggest issue was to convince people to move from analog video to IP. Nowadays, everything is IP because it makes absolute sense to use it as a, let's say, basic layer or let's say main technology for this. And thanks to the fact that we are running on the data network, which is very often shared with other applications, with other systems, uh, it is absolutely necessary to be cyber secure because our security system is very often on the border of the building or of the area, and in fact it can be an open gate to the data network of the facility. So this is the reason why we need to be, let's say, super careful and to protect the let's say this entrance to your data. I will start with the presentation if you let me.
Thank you very much. Okay, Philip, you
Thank
can
you.
start.
Thank you. Give me a second. So I will start with a few stats we have. Some of them are, let's say, not from the last year, but they are important anyway. Uh, I can say that this is today's reality. Cyber threats are one of the biggest global threats. They can come from anywhere and can affect anyone at any time. And cybercrime isn't just an IT issue, it's also a business risk issue. In fact, the cyber black market is now more profitable than the illegal drug trade. From recent findings, we estimate that around 5 5.8 trillion US dollars, the global cost of cybercrime. This is not a regional issue, and cyber threats cannot be localized. We are seeing more and more disruptive cyber attacks targeting multiple countries at once. Just short comment: Chinese state-sponsored cyber criminal activity in the U.S. cost at least 300 billion US dollars annually, another 300 billion US dollars in the EU, and another 100 billion US dollars in the rest of the world. And China, before the war in Ukraine, was responsible for 60% of state-sponsored cyber criminal activity, or about 12% of all cyber criminal activities. And why should anyone care about cyber breaches? Is there a real measurable impact to those events? Analysis of closing share prices of 24 companies, most of them listed on the New York Stock Exchange, starting the day prior to the public disclosure of their respective data breaches. After 3 years, the research found that the Nasdaq clearly outperforms said breaches companies by a margin of over 40%. Their decrease in share price growth is of 30% on average. Included are many of the largest data breaches in history. All of them resulted in at least 1 million records leaked, and some surpassed 100 million. The US National Cybersecurity Alliance found that 60% of small companies are unable to sustain their businesses over 6 months after a cyber attack. According to the Ponemon Institute, the average price for small businesses to clean up after their businesses have been hacked stands at 690,000 US dollars, and for middle market companies, it's over 1 million. Small and mid-sized businesses are hit by 62% of all cyber attacks, about 4,000 per day, according to IBM. Cyber criminals target small businesses because they are an easy, soft target to penetrate. And now we are getting to our industry. Let's see what's happening more specifically in deployed security systems out there. A problem that persists in the industry is the set it and forget it mentality. The fact is, a single unsecure device could be enough to give the foothold necessary for an attacker to put an entire organization's security and people's privacy at risk. All it takes could be one camera with obsolete firmware or default password to create an opening and allow an attacker to compromise a network. So in Genetec, we conducted a research on the usage of firmware in the field that are not up to date, and we found that as many as 68, or almost 7 out of 10 cameras, are currently running out of date firmware, and more than half of these contain a known vulnerability. That means that in average Genetec system, nearby 4 out of 10 cameras are vulnerable to a cyber attack today. It's not a low number. I'm getting to cyber risk management. Cybersecurity is a conversation about risk management. The approach should be very similar to a standard conversation about physical security, where each organization needs to assess the level of risk around his organization, coming from the outside or the inside. Then work with their security vendors and consultants to figure out where to add layers of defense and which of them make sense in their environment. Before we talk about the cyber threat landscape, it is important to understand that the threats can come from anywhere, and the hackers can leverage human weaknesses to compromise a system. They can target any of these physical security actors. In fact, human errors are the primary factor cybersecurity breach in today's businesses. More than 6 out of every 10 incidents are either caused by an error made by an employee or, in some cases, intentionally. We need to establish trust between all stakeholders. There needs to be an organizational mindset that places importance on cybersecurity as much as physical security and the role people play. In order to achieve the common goal, having a secure system, all of them need to be aware and to use the right methods of protection. We need to raise awareness. People play a crucial role in strengthening or weakening an organization's cybersecurity. All stakeholders need to work together, share and collaborate to create trusted ecosystem and environment. So what we are doing here is we are evaluating the level of risk implied, and we can start from basic calculation. Risk equals probability of something bad happening times impact of that event. This calculation applies to cybersecurity. If you are going to put security equipment on your network or install new software, it's because you believe that will not harm you or that the risk is low enough. The main question is, how much risk are you willing to take on, and what is the potential harm? Let's talk about impact. Cyber threats are unforgiving, and so are the consumers when their trust is broken. Organizations can be affected on many levels at the same time, such as number one, loss of private data. Important data loss can affect lives of people, employees, and customers, but also compromise the intellectual property of businesses. Number two, fines and suits. Non-complying businesses may face fines, sanctions, class action suits. Those are more and more significant as new rules are being applied. Number three, operational disruption. Routine business operations can be severely disrupted, and employees may not be able to work normally for weeks or months following the attack. Number four, a breach in this interconnected world can cause serious harm to people and directly compromise physical security. A few hours of disruption could have a huge impact on the lives of people in the transportation, government, or medical sector, as we've seen too many times already. And I would like to add a personal comment. Number of cyber attacks from Russia government in our region is tremendous. It's growing like a rocket. Number five, reputational damage, hard to measure and very hard to recover, can cause bankruptcy in certain cases. Even more negative impact when it's poorly handled by the company. With social media, the news spread quickly, and if data breach is handled poorly by a company, people will not hesitate to bash the company to bring it down even more. We are seeing that the probability has skyrocketed in the last few years. As opposed to the physical security, the geographical boundaries are almost non-existent when it comes to cyber attacks. What we mean by expanding surface is the sensitive data shared between people, systems, and connected things grow exponentially year over year, and same thing does for amount of connected things. Thus, there's more people accessing all these things and the data contained within. The probability will effectively reduced by the amount of protection layers and the strength of each and every layer within a system or network. And here you can also treat best practices and education as extra layers of protection. So after acknowledging the risk that's out there, people have two options: doing the proper due diligence, assessing the trust of every vendor and implementing a solid risk mitigation strategy, or simply flip a coin and hope for the best. Now, because I'm a sales engineer, more technical, let's talk about something more down to earth. In order to properly assess cybersecurity risk, we need to address some misconceptions and get a good grasp on the new reality that directly affects our industry. First, many will say that cameras or security devices are not a prime target, or that nobody cares about seeing video footage of your warehouse or your backyard. Another very common argument we get: my system is not connected to the internet, it has an air gap, or I've been using a very stable legacy product for so many years, it gives me peace of mind. Then we get the classic: I don't really mind what's behind it, as long as I get a secure final product with a cyber protection. Let's look at each of them. So about the first argument, it's true that attackers often do not care about camera itself. They care about the interconnectivity and its processing power. Any device can be used as a point of entry. In fact, 90% of all IoT attacks last year where through routers and connected cameras. Not only are they used, but they can cause a lot of damage to a much greater extent to your security installation. Separate components with distinct vulnerabilities may create a negative synergy that acts as a multiplier. Botnets are a good example. Connecting all cameras with existing vulnerabilities allow attackers to use that to bring network down. Then the classic and outdated perimeter defense strategy. Having valuable things and trying to protect it by putting a digital barrier tends to fail, and when it fails, it will most likely fail catastrophically. Let's look why it's the case. Malicious insiders. Trusted insiders are now a very serious security threat. People need to focus not only on privileged users like admins, but also contractors, temporary workers, and service providers. Stolen credentials are very common, and malicious insiders gain access to systems, whether they are connected to the internet or not, by exploiting shared or weak passwords, as well as unsecured devices and networks. They will surely find a way around static defenses, which is why a defense in depth strategy is a key, not a simple perimeter defense. Lateral movement. In that case, the attackers will slowly crawl within your network. They are searching for key data and assets that are ultimately the target of their attack campaigns. For example, they can find a default admin account somewhere or get into your VPN with stolen credentials. Then they will jump from another system to another, go deeper in the network as they learn about its topology, and finally get to confidential data or steal money from the ATM system, maybe a week or month later. Infected devices. All it takes is a single infected device. Some tests were conducted by dropping USB keys in parking lots and other places around businesses. 98% of those keys were picked up and 45% were plugged in a computer. If we look back at the Irene program sabotage, that was recognized as the world's first digital weapon. Instead of simply stealing information or hijacking computers, it went on to do physical damage to critical infrastructure equipment. It was sabotaging centrifuges for about a year, manipulating valves to increase the pressure inside the centrifuges and damage the device as well as the enrichment process. As they were recovering from the first attack, the second weapon was designed to hijack computers used to control and monitor the speed of the centrifuges. Because these computers were air-gapped, they designed the weapon to spread via USB flash drives. Finally, physical network access. Using a Wi-Fi trapping device, attackers can easily intercept wireless signals. Ethernet cables hanging around and connecting edge devices could easily be physically accessed and used to attack the local network. A wireless router could be also plugged into an open Ethernet port, giving access to anyone nearby the building. Once enough information is gathered, an active attack can be launched and the targeted network. For example, they can run a denial of service attack, IP spoofing, and so on. Having one layer of defense is a bad security strategy. Just putting your system offline as your strategy is not the best way of doing it. We strongly encourage a defense in depth strategy with multiple layers of defense. Even if you think you are controlling that because you are not connected or you have strong defense layers, you need to think before and after. Assess the security of the entire supply chain. Our globally interconnected supply chain is highly vulnerable to supply chain attack. If it often assumes that all parties trust each other, vetting every single link in the chain down to every component is a daunting task. It definitely cannot be done by a single company. Hardware processors themselves can be used to perpetrate cyber attacks or steal information from kernel memory, for example. We have seen many investigations, sometimes proven true, where malicious hardware or software is inserted into products before they are shipped to surveillance targets. We saw backdoor access to security cameras and entire bank websites being hijacked and spoofed for hours, resulting in millions of dollars being stolen. In general, if you see too many red flags, unanswered questions, lack of transparency, or probability that the risk is too high, looking for another suppliers is probably the best thing to do. For us, it means asking the right questions before partnering with any company, strengthening our own product against supply chain attacks, vetting partners and their integrations, and letting the market know which suppliers are more trustworthy and not. So far, we talked about the cyber risk at a higher level and how it affects security systems around the world. Now, I just wanted to show you why we should think about the bigger picture, not just the camera's video feed. There is a lot more to worry about. Of course, the first layer of risk directly affects your devices. Cyber attacks can result in leaked footage or physical breaches. Compromised edge devices can also be the point of entry for a highly disruptive ransomware attack, encrypting your computers and demanding ransom. Risk of hardware being forced offline or not recording. There are also new creative and profitable ways for attackers to use your devices. For example, they can and hijack devices with processing power to mine cryptocurrency. Another level, your network. Cyber attackers may use your devices to hijack your internet footprint. For example, there was a bank hack in Brazil. Their entire internet footprint was hacked for 6 hours, and billions of assets were put at risk. There is also the rather common use of botnets that flood networks with requests using IoT devices, commonly known as DDoS attack. We have seen a few of these attacks being launched from cameras. Private information, IP, personal data, sensitive information, evidence stolen. Intellectual property theft is a major business for cybercriminals. This can lead to major revenue loss and devaluation of the company's reputation. As we have seen with the Uber data breaches in 2016 and 2022, personal information was leaked for millions of customers. In fact, 52 millions of customers in 2016. I can share some details about this data breach because it's a wonderful example how one single mistake of the employee can lead to such a data breach. But then, what about everybody else? What's at stake here is not only about your infrastructure, data, and people. Your security system could be used as a point of entry and have a much broader impact to a lot of people. Everything is interconnected, and any device could be used as a point of entry. Even if they don't attack you directly, attackers can use your network to get into critical networks and infrastructure. The fact is that people who do not do their due diligence and evaluate that impact properly could be liable to negligence. There's different ways of segmenting your cybersecurity strategy. It could be by step, from deployment to maintenance. It could be by category, software, hardware, data. The approach today is kind of a mixture of both, which we think will make it easier for you to follow. Now let's talk about our approach to cybersecurity, what we can find in our solution. Protecting your organization means making sure you can face these new threats. Here's how we can help. First, risk identification and mitigation. Our team proactively monitors the market and potential cyber threats. We guide you and help you face the evolving cybersecurity challenges by keeping you informed and helping you build a solid security strategy. Number two, solutions you can rely on. Our goal now is to make our portfolio secure by default. It is shipped with multiple layers of security, so you have to go out of your way to make it unsecure. We developed cyber secure and resilient software solutions that protect your data with confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Our solutions are designed with several security layers that protect your assets and your environment. Number three, transparency and openness. We are committed to transparency, issuing timely security advisories and security updates. We are open and upfront with the customer about policies, existing vulnerabilities, and actions to remedy to those weaknesses, showing that you don't hide anything from them, that you take their security at heart. And finally, network of trust. As equally important, you need to rely on a trust network with your suppliers and installers. You are only as secure as your weakest link. We do business with people who have security and data protection in mind. We vet partners to inform users of their impact on overall system security, and we do not hesitate to restrict devices with higher cyber risk, as we did just a few years ago with Hikvision and Dahua. What security tools you can find in our products? First, authentication and authorization allows you to make the information only available to the right people. Another one, privacy protector. Our products include privacy by design, allowing you to protect the identity of anyone captured in live and recorded video. Encryption, video and data viewed within our system, as well as communications with genetic hardware, edge devices, and to the cloud, is fully encrypted. Encryption in transit, encryption at rest, and management and rotation of encryption keys. Your encryption is only as good as you manage your encryption keys. And the last one, audited information security management system that complies with various government and industry standards. We have rigorous processes in place with secure product, coding, and audit, policies and controls based on industry best practices for handling data, operating the systems, and secure product coding. On our on-premise and cloud solutions are certified on many different levels. You can find actual information on genetec.com/trust-cybersecurity. I already mentioned a network of trust. We engage with people and organizations that place a great deal of value on security and data privacy. Our ecosystem is built on transparency, collaboration, and sharing. We do not hesitate to communicate and restrict the use of devices with higher cyber risks if there is any potential threat to our customers. We have conveyed strategic joint efforts with many of our trusted partners. For example, Bosch. We collaborate with Bosch to provide end-to-end security for video management systems and ensure video integrity. With Axis, EMC, and Avaya, we built the industry's first validated surveillance solution, providing end-to-end security. We also offer a secure integration with access cameras that relies on the Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol, SRTP, as a means of hardening surveillance content against cyber attacks. Mercury Security shares our approach to cybersecurity, and we are collectively driving the global adoption of OSDP version 2, a secure access control protocol. Their new suite of OSDP version 2 compatible products is fully supported by our Security Center Synergies access control software and hardware. Through joint educational seminars, our goal is to encourage the adoption of secure credentials, wiring protocols, and access control hardware so that customers secure their infrastructure. And we do something very similar to with STID. Now I'm going to show you some, let's say, practical examples how we work with cybersecurity in our system. At the core, there is the infrastructure or the security appliance. This is most likely the first thing you are going to boot up and one of the first things you will want to secure. Our infrastructure solutions make it easier than ever to deploy security systems with cybersecurity by default. We change over 200 settings in factory to make the whole process easier. Then there is a deployment tool, the control panel, that comes with the startup wizard upon first login. It allows you to rapidly configure the network and computer settings. Immediately upon startup, it asks you to change default system passwords. Setup Wizard will guide you step by step through the initial configuration to make your system up and running. The part of it is also configuration of Silence Protect, the machine learning antivirus by BlackBerry. You can choose between the online and offline protection. Directory databases and settings backup are available directly from StreamVault control panel. Encrypted backup is stored locally and in the cloud if available. And in the cloud, we keep at least 5 backups. So you always have some steps back. Now let's focus more specifically on the data managed by our hardware and software and how to protect it. You should definitely start with basics. Changing the default password is the first step. Switching from HTTP to HTTPS, the second one. It secures the basic connection of a device. Now it is time to secure its main output, the video. You might wonder, wouldn't activating HTTPS also encrypt the video that comes out of it? The answer is sometimes yes, but most often times no. The reason for this is that video is typically not sent on the network over HTTP, so encrypting this channel won't encrypt the video. A camera has 3 categories of channels: a command and control channel for its configuration, a command and control channel for its multimedia streams, and a multimedia channel. The configuration command and control channel is used to configure the camera and control it. This is done via HTTP or HTTPS, and this is what we've just configured. The next 2 channels have their own set of protocols and needs to be secured separately, the most common ones being RTP and RTSP. The RTP protocol is the one doing the heavy lifting. The actual video packets are carried by this protocol. The RTSP protocol is the command and control channel for multimedia stream, is basically acting as a remote control. It allows you to play, pause, or stop the video. Now, if you want to have network security, you need to take care of those channels and encrypt them. How to do it? The problem with RTP is that the packets can be easily captured by a packet sniffer on the network and then rebuilt, putting in jeopardy the privacy of your videos. This is where SRTP comes into play. You can use that protocol to encrypt the media handled by RTP, protecting your video streams from snoopers. SRTP is supported with platinum partners such as Axis, Bosch, Hanwha, and Panasonic. Command and control security. Then we also need to protect this one, or the RTSP. So for that, we use TLS, Transport Layer Security. It's cryptographic protocol, and it's similar to the one used on the web when an HTTP website becomes HTTPS. Here, RTSP becomes RTSPS. We can't talk about data protection without talking about database. In terms of security, we can divide data protection in the same 2 categories as before: data in transit and data at rest. As of Security Center 5.8, data in transit is encrypted by default when communicating with databases. There is one subtlety though. The validity of the SQL certificate is not checked by default. This is because it requires a human configuration, so it cannot be done automatically by the system. So by default, you have protection against a passive attacker only listening on the network, but not against an active one doing man-in-the-middle attack. So the most secure option for database in transit is to set up a valid certificate on the SQL server and then turn on its check in Security Center. For encryption at rest, we rely on SQL transparent data encryption feature. This is if you want full encryption of the entire content of the database. Security Center will protect the most sensitive content like user passwords or device passwords by default, but if complete encryption is needed, then this SQL TDE needs to be used. You can find more details on how to do it in the Security Center hardening guide. Another way to protect the integrity of your video is by using digital signature. This can be done with or without encryption enabled. Those are really two different things. Digital signature is most important when you need to bring video footage as evidence in a court of law and you want to demonstrate chain of custody. This allows you to certify that the video hasn't been tampered from the time it was initially recorded until the time it was played. It makes sense to turn digital signature on in all cases of the performance was isn't important. Let's see how to protect Security Center itself. Video can be encrypted in transit and at rest, same as the database. In fact, starting in Security Center 5.8, video is encrypted in transit by default, and the encryption key are managed by the system automatically. This means that as soon as video enters the Security Center system, it will be always encrypted when it is traveling over the wire until it is viewed by the operator in the security desk. However, the first link between the camera and the archiver is not encrypted by default, and the customer needs to configure it manually. It is also possible to do encryption at rest. This means encryption of the video while it is stored on the hard drive. This would protect the confidentiality of the video files if if the archive sorry if the archiver hard drive gets stolen, for example, or it would also protect the video files if you were to put Security Center in the cloud and you wouldn't want your cloud provider to be able get access to the video files. The trade-off for this added security is that you need to manage the keys yourself. The system doesn't manage the keys automatically for you in the encryption at rest scenario. What is offered in Security Center to protect against unauthorized intrusion? Well, the default way of authenticating users is via passwords. So this is the first vector of attacks. There are multiple ways of strengthening passwords. The first step is to set a password policy, so the user passwords needs to respect a specific password composition. You can define the minimal length, force usage of capital and special characters, and define expiration time of the password. User is informed about password expiration few days before with possibility to change it. To go one step further, you can also use multi-factor authentication. This can be done using an external identity provider such as Active Directory. The idea here is that Security Center will delegate the identification of the user to another entity, and this entity can use whatever is necessary to authenticate the user. The server admin, which is one of the key tools, the server admin can be set to local only access. Otherwise, you can access this tool via a web browser in your whole network. Once a user is authenticated, we need to decide what he is allowed to do. The least privilege principle states that we should give least amount of privilege to a user to do its job. This is to reduce the impact if he becomes malicious or if his account is hacked somehow. In Security Center, you can really apply this principle as the platform offers 388 different privileges. So you can rely, no, you can really fine tune this in order to configure what users can or cannot do. The drawback, however, is that this can quickly become overwhelming. To overcome this, you can put user in groups in order to manage their privileges at scale. The next thing that needs to be done once the users are authenticated and authorized is to track what is happening on the system. For this, Security Center offers two mechanisms: activity trails and audit trails. Activity trails is a type of maintenance task that reports on the user activity related to video, access control, and LPR functionality. This task can provide information such as who played back which video recordings and much more. Audit trails is a type of maintenance task that reports on the configuration changes of the selected entities in the system and also indicates the user who made the changes. Both trails can be accessed via reports in the security desk, which is the client application. You can also use the integrated plots to visualize those reports in more efficient and user-friendly manner. This was just an overview of what needs to be done from a cybersecurity perspective in the system. Those items that I've just mentioned were mostly taken out from the Security Center Hardening Guide. This is a document detailing all the steps discussed today, plus many others. One useful thing we did is to incorporate automated cybersecurity checks for those items in Security Center. So this is a good place to get an overview of the security posture of your system and to discover what can be improved. Once we activated all the necessary cybersecurity layers, we got to make sure people use it properly. We can break it down into three things. First one, making sure operators know what to do and what not to do by providing frequent trainings and cyber hygiene guidelines. Number two, ensuring a full chain of custody and making sure nobody tampers or leaks evidence. Number three, auditing your system periodically to keep track of all users and systems activity. Let's talk about user education. Operator training should cover these following points: create strong and random passwords and never share your user credentials. As with any standard IT corporate policy, tell your operators not to visit suspicious sites and obviously block the known suspects. Number three, do not open suspicious files and links coming from email or other sources. Number four, and this goes with the next point, teach your employees how to recognize phishing attacks, like the emails you would never receive from your CEO or finance department. Or in general, do not reply and report any suspicious communications. Number five, do not download and use third-party applications that haven't been approved by IT, supply chain attacks using download websites. Very basic thing to do with the security system is to lock the workstation whenever you walk away from it. We also have auto lock features to help with that. When it comes to gathering and exporting evidence in an investigation, only export what is necessary so not to risk misuse or leakage of personal data. If there's a device made available for their work, they don't have to use their personal device. This helps reduce potential risk, keep business separate from personal. Also, do not take snapshots or capture video of private data. We have seen a lot of security footage being leaked. This is helped with some features I will show you in a few instances. And the last one, do not use the security system for things other than security. I'm sure we would be amazed with the things people can do with PTZ Super Zoom cameras. A pretty good way of preventing leak of evidence or somebody exporting data when they should not is by applying the 4I principle. In our VMS, this can be enforced for all video exports. When the operator starts a video export, the workflow is exactly the same. Right-click, export, describe the incident. Except now there has to be another set of credentials entered to complete the export. So 2 people, 4 eyes are required for this operation to succeed. And I just would like to point you to another tool because you can see some video overlay over the video that JDO lobby. It's a tool which allows you to put this marker on your screen to avoid recording by your phone. So you can show the name of the user and the workstation where the video is viewed. And I'm heading to an end. All of this is great, but if we don't keep the security deployment up to date, we are going to miss out on every fix and new cybersecurity or privacy feature that comes with a new product release. Maintenance is a critical step in any risk mitigation plan, if not the most important. When you are juggling many tasks, it's easy to push maintenance aside for another day. But if you are using Security Center, there are many built-in capabilities that help you keep your system running at peak performance. The System Availability Monitor keeps watch over the status of your genetic system components and alerts you to things like device falling offline. The Genetic Update Service informs you when new product updates are available, so you can make sure to have at least fixes to counteract any known vulnerabilities. Also, we saw that so many cameras do not use the latest security firmware. Installing the latest firmware is not just about accessing exciting new features, it's about ensuring the latest cybersecurity protection measures are implemented as soon as they become available. This is an absolutely critical step. You can also use the Security Score widget to track the security of your system in real time and follow recommendations to improve your score. To clear things up about the recent additions of passwords and firmware management services, they are all done from the same central location, which makes things much easier. The task is called the Hardware Inventory Report. Now I would like to show you how it helps maintain maximum security for every device. So this is the hardware inventory task, and you can see the name of the camera, its type, the firmware version, the proposed firmware version of the new one, if the update is recommended by Genetec, what is the password strength, and so on. And you can do this report above the whole system. Genetec Update Service is the main service to keep track, schedule, and streamline all your updates. We are talking about every single software update in the deployment, Security Center updates, Windows updates, keeping track of all your machines, like on this slide, more advanced settings for download and proxy. You can create one single server to be a source of updates for the complete or for the rest of the system. So you can always be sure that your system is up to date. If somebody's job changed, or if you changed your policies, it's extremely important to go back and keep track of who has access to what in the system. The privileged troubleshooter allows you to examine the rights of entities in the system in a more detailed and pinpointed way. Instead of going through a long list of permissions for a given user group, you can now look at who has access to any given entity, and also who is allowed to perform specific actions. This helps stay on top of temporary privileges that have become permanent, reducing exposure. Health monitoring dashboard. This one is focused on camera maintenance, so you see how many statistics and information on every device we can now collect and centralize into our new dashboards to make much better use of the data. And the last one, yeah, this is the health dashboard. And the last one, security score. Health monitor, yeah, this is the security score. The security score is a widget for dashboard that tracks your system's compliance to the guidelines available in the Security Center Hardening Guide. This is related to the concept of hardening that we discussed earlier. It adapts its checklist to your system's components so that you see a personalized score. You can look at the guide in more details to plan your next action. This is the end of my presentation, and now I'm yours.
Philip, thank you very much for your presentation and all informations that you shared with us. We have a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
First question from the audience: do you support cloud storage data, multi-cloud data on Amazon Web Services, GCP, Azure, and Oracle?
Okay. We definitely support cloud storage data. We can offer it as a, let's say, hybrid solution, like to keep some portion of data locally, and for some long-term storage, move it to the cloud. We are using Azure cloud service, but also recently we have also a complete cloud-based solution. So most of our products have also its cloud versions, also on Azure Cloud.
Thank you, Philip. The second question from the audience is: what are the typical steps or criteria Genetec uses when choosing a representative or local office in a new region?
Okay, it's more question on Jakub, who should sit on this chair instead of me. Well, it depends on the region, definitely, because not in all regions we are looking for new partners, but we are open to them in most of the cases. Definitely, we are looking for someone who has some expertise in the security, but also in IT, definitely. And let's say other criteria, we have some. Let's say there is a list of training and certifications we are asking for. We can provide them, or some of them needs to be done on, let's say, Microsoft
Yes.
or Cisco provider.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And the third question for the audience is: from your experience, what sectors, government, airports, universities, smart cities are the more receptive to Genetec solutions in Southeast Europe?
In Southeast Europe, okay, it
Yes.
will be tricky for me because I'm from the Czech Republic, so I know more about this region. So, if I may, I would like to give you my point of view in my region. It means Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary. We are, in fact, we are in all of those cases. So for government, we are a trusted partner. At the airports, we are very strong at the airports. In fact, first big installation in Europe was Charles de Gaulle airport in Paris, and we are taking more and more of them, including airport in Prague, Warsaw, and also in Southeast Europe. I'm sure we are already in most of the airports in the region. Universities, we are very strong in universities in Poland, but it's let's say related to personal contacts of our sales guys. But the good and smart cities, it's I think the most of the installation of Genetec in the Czech Republic are city surveillance systems. So the good news is that we have a solution for all those type of installations.
Okay, thank you, Philip. Okay, I apologize. We have another question.
Yeah.
Can we exit the presentation after webinar?
I have to check it with our marketing team, but I believe so. Yeah, I think it's
Great.
not confidential.
Okay, great. Philip, thank you very much on all answers that you gave us, for the audience, and for me, of course. Your presentation was very interesting and insightful. Thank you. We can go with the Q&A session. I have a few questions for you. If you are ready, I can start with my first question.
Definitely.
How does Genetec's Security of Security initiative address the increasing convergence of physical and cybersecurity threats in modern IP-based security systems?
I believe it was partly covered by my presentation, but just to sum it up, um, let's do it in 4 steps. Uh, First, use an audited and compliant system. We are sorry.
It's okay.
uh, the second step is make the information available to the right people. It was related to privileges and let's say let people do just what they should do. Uh, Another one, keep out prying eyes. Uh, it means
Okay.
protect confidential information and sensitive data while also enhancing the security of communication between client and servers. And the last step, protect everyone's privacy. So we have privacy protector in our system by default, and we are protecting the personal data of anyone, let's say, recorded by our cameras in the system.
Okay,
Okay.
Philip, thank you
Yeah.
very much. And my second question for you is, what are the most common cybersecurity vulnerabilities in physical security infrastructure, and how does Genetec's unified platform help mitigate these risks?
Okay. I believe these were those 3 misconceptions. First one is, as soon as I'm not connected to the internet, I'm safe. You are not, because first your cameras are usually, even if I'm talking about the international airport, which is strictly offline, uh, your cameras are in the public zone, and it can be accessed by anyone. The cable is cable. It's just hanging there. So this is the first trouble. You have to access your security system as um, any other IT system, which has to be secured, which has to be protected. The problem is that in many cases, the guy who is responsible, or guy, people who are responsible for security systems are security guys, not IT experts. And nowadays we need IT experts to take care of our system because it's pure it's pure IT system. So it is the main one. The second one is, let's say, reluctancy to update, uh, to keep the system up to date, to update the firmware, and in many cases, as you have seen, 40% or more, you are, the users are using obsolete versions of firmware, which are still keeping some vulnerabilities, which can be attacked by hackers.
Philip, thank you very much on your presentation, all the answers and information that you gave us today. Honestly, it was a very informative presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm going too deep into technical details, so sorry if it was too much for anybody.
No, no, it wasn't. It was a great for me, and I believe for our audience.
Okay.
Thank you all for being with us today and for contributing to this important discussion. We hope today's session has provided valuable insights and why physical security is now inseparable from cybersecurity and how we can all adapt to this evolving landscape together. A big thank you once again to my guest, Philip Schellenberg from Genetec, for sharing this expertise and perspectives.
Thank you, Janana. It was a pleasure.
Philip, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make? Do you want something to add before we finish our today's session?
Yeah, the last question. Okay. I really hope that we will We will take cybersecurity seriously because nowadays it can be maybe one of the most important things how to protect our um, let's say everyday life. We are not living in a safe place, and especially last last few years it show us that um, we cannot be um, sure enough, or yeah, that's it. Yeah, let's something like this.
Thank you.
Sorry for that.
Thank you. It's okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If you have any follow-up questions or would like to learn about why is physical security, cybersecurity in 2025, feel free to reach out to us or directly to our speaker, Philip Schellenberg from Genetech. Stay connected for updates and future events and webinars where we're going to continue to explore the latest innovations in security and privacy-focused technology. See you on May 8th with our new webinar when we're going to talk about balancing between edge and cloud. Thank you once again, Philip, for being with us today. Thanks to my audience, our audience, and see you some other time. Have a great ahead.